All right, so let's make a square using our 12 by 18 paper. We are going to fold diagonally across, making sure that that edge lines up nice and neat to the other edge. Once you feel like it's lined up real nice, press down your crease. And that has created a square. Now we just need to cut off the excess. So all I'm going to do, I can take my ruler and draw a line and then cut it along that edge, or just fold backwards, which is what I'm doing here, and crease it. So that creates that line, and now I'm just going to take my scissors and cut that excess off. Of course, take your time. This is our rough draft, so that is why we're doing the additional folds. When we get to our final, we won't be folding our paper at all. Okay, and so now I'm going to fold it in half across, like hot dog style, making sure my edges line up. Press the creases down, open it up, and then fold it the other direction, hot dog style. Line it up, and press down your crease. So all of those lines should intersect and actually create a center point. I'm going to go ahead and fold it diagonal the other way, and I'm just doing that because it might be helpful when I'm starting to plan out my designs in these squares of having an additional line to reference. But you see all of those points are in, they intersect to one center point. I'm going to go ahead and mark that with my pencil so I can clearly see it. And so you need to find in your house a cup, a bowl or small plate, and then a large plate, so like a dinner plate. We want to make 3 rings. That is the minimum that you need to make. So here's the mug. This is a bowl, and there's a small plate, which is a little larger than the bowl, and then a large plate. So yeah, any of those, like as far as like the middle size, could be either like a bowl or a plate. Okay, I could try to figure out and center it in there, but I'm not that great at that. So I'm going to go ahead and measure the diameter by taking my ruler and measuring it. It is 3.5 inches across, so it's about 1.75 inches if we're going to divide up 3.5 inches in half. So that is what that little tick mark that I pointed out there. So I'm going to line that 2.75 inch, I'm sorry, 1.75 inch, mark my 3.5, and then at my 0 line, you know, and I can double check myself to make sure that they're the same. And then I'm going to do it the other way, again, lining up on my center point, the 1.75, and do my 2 tick marks on each side. So these are just like my reference points so that when I go to line up that mug, I have some kind of reference in there. I can see that it's centered in there. So I'll use those to guide me. Once I feel like I've lined it up nice and centered, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to create my circle. Now, if you have a compass at home, a compass is really actually way easier than doing this. It's a little bit less work because obviously you're already going to be able to have a center point. But a lot of us don't have compasses at home. It's not something we normally have. So this is our alternative. So I'm going to choose the bowl for my middle circle. Again, measuring it, taking that measurement, dividing it in half, and I believe it is 6.25. So I did 3 1/8, and I'm just doing my little tick marks again, lining up that center divided point up. Now, of course, your measurements are going to be different based on whatever you have at home. So it's important that you measure that and divide it up in half. Okay, and then again, I center my bowl or plate, whatever you have, with those tick marks as my reference and draw my line. Okay, This allows me to know that they're centered in there, really nice. And then there's my large plate. I'm going to repeat that same process. So again, I just measured the diameter, divided it in half so I can find my center point. This one's 10.5, so the middle point would be 5.25. So line that point up in the center and then do my 2 tick marks on the top and bottom, and then the left and the right. I'm just doing 2 because it's 2 sets because I could be maybe a little more persnickety and do more around it, but this works just fine. So I center that in there. I use those tick marks to guide me, and I center my plate and draw my circle all the way around. I have 3 rings right now. Now, that's my minimum for you guys. You have to have 3 rings. However, you're coming up with 3 different plans for your radius design, your mandala. And so if you choose to, here on this one, I just took a plate, and I actually just eyeballed this one because now I have more information. I have those other rings, and I went ahead and made an additional ring in only 1/4 of my design. So at least in one of my designs, I'm going to have 4 rings. Because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fold it up, and we'll work just on each a quarter at a time. So I'll come up with an original design for this square. Then I flip it over, come up with another design on this square, and then I'll do one on another square. You don't have to do it on 4 squares, just 3 out of the 4. We're coming up with 3 different designs. And here are some examples that I've done in the past. I even drew some lines kind of radiating to divide up that space. Here's a design that I actually pretty much almost finished with. Here's one in the beginning stages, how I divided up those lines, and it gave me a little bit more surface to work on. So you can divide up from that point as much as you want. So here's an example of some that I've done in the past. I had 3 different designs. Now I even did 3 different styles. I used different symbols in each one. So that is something you could do. You could use the same symbols, but maybe arranging them differently, or pick new symbols for each design. And you can see there's my Celtic design, there's my Southwestern design, and then I had a French design. So that's our beginning setup.